we've been doing more and more work on the Nissan Y60 and Y61s. This is a standard Y61 locker that we got on the bench. This one's going to have a crown wheel and pinion change, which is going to be fun because this is the first time we've been given these particular gears to work with. So these are the crown wheel and pinions that Dan Hickling is bringing in to go with the ARB copy HF lockers. This is an unusual ratio. This is a 5.125, and for the pair of crown wheel and pinions, frankly they represent either very good money or they're crap. We're going to find out when we fit them. Dan wants to know, because if we think they're pretty good, he's going to offer them to customers. This one here is the front because it's front cut, and this one here is rear because it's rear cut, which is quite nice. This one's going to be going into the front with an Eaton locker. We'll do a second video on this. And this one being the rear, this is going to be going straight on to the Y61 I showed you earlier on the bench with a little bit of a clean-up. We're going to have to fit new bearings. Now these are a bit of a nightmare to set up. We don't have any guidance as to what the pinion height should be. These really are not properly repaired by Nissan. They're built to basically last forever, but there is a shim that fits in here on top of the bearing, and from our knowledge we believe that the shim goes with the case and goes with the pinion. So the catch-22 will be whether this pinion is ground to the same dimensions as the one we take out of the case, but we will tell. We have actually got some bits and bobs with them, some pinion shims, but that's not going to help us because we don't know what shim we would need for what pinion height. So this is going to be an interesting video, and if you're actually viewing this, it must have turned out all right, otherwise we wouldn't have put it up. So, forwards. First thing we're going to do is take this apart, pretty much give it a damn good clean, get the pinion out, and start looking at building it up with the new crown wheel and pinion, and we'll see how we go. So, apart it comes. Well, we've tried everything we can, so what we're going to do is we've measured the pinion height with our digital vernier, and it gives us an idea if we're in the right ballpark on pinion height. We really are in uncharted territory, but yes, let's see how we go. And this is something we're definitely not used to. It's actually leaked out fresh clean oil to the bench. I don't know what's gone wrong there, because normally whatever comes out is revolting. So congratulations to Terry, nice to see it. One little problem we have is this is the entire amount of shims given to us in both kits, and you can see we're talking very thin shims, whereas the shim on this is actually between the bearing and the top of the pinion. My colleague will point to where the shim is. There you go, there's the shim, and we've got to get that off, which means we've got to cut that bearing off to get to that shim. So we'll probably bugger up this pinion because there are no special tools available, and it's on there like you wouldn't believe. So this is the magic shim that we've now finally got off, and as you can see, it's a whopping great thick thing. What we are hoping is when we put this onto, which came off here, when we put this onto the new pinion and press a new bearing on, which is about quid, that our made to measure height gauge tells us we're in roughly the same position. If not, we're in a world of pain because we're limited what we can do. The entire shim pack, as we showed, doesn't even come up anywhere near this. So what we're hoping is, being Nissan, that this pinion and that casing and this shim are interchangeable with another pinion if it's ground to the same depth here. If it isn't, it's going to be too high or too low, and we're not sure what the hell we're going to do then. Ah, lovely. So here we have the new pinion with the shim that we've taken off the old pinion, which is the correct way round, and a very expensive new bearing and a cobbled up special tool to enable us to press this bearing on. Moment of truth. The only way to change that shim is to cut the old bearing off. Nice tight fit, I'm good at that. slowing down tells us it's on good and proper. Oh, Terry, fingers crossed. Well, with a bit of luck, we're okay. We've cleaned the casing up and put new head bearing on, new tail bearing on, and we've used our homemade measuring stick, and we are looking for about 80.15, 80.2, and we're on 80.35, but we haven't actually got the flange on the other end done up, so we're reckoning that when we pull this down, we could be there. But if nothing else, it's as good as we're going to get with what we've got to work with. But it's something to bear in mind that these better all be very carefully put together and checked for shimming, just in case. Well, we've got it sort of back together. The pinion preload is a little bit tighter than we would have wished, but it's not too bad. But we haven't got any shims to adjust the pinion preload. And not only that, it's very difficult to find information on these diffs as to the technical specs, because that's the way it is. But on the crown wheel itself, which we're about to go into, nice little thing, they've actually sort of got laser etching on there, and you think, yeah, this is all right. It looks a half decent crown wheel. We'll find out in a minute. But pinion height we're happy with. We're pretty much bang on now. And we're going to heat this up so we can get it on the carrier, which is now also being cleaned up as well. Brick wall. This here is quite a heavy radius. And here is the new crown wheel, which has a teeny weeny radius on it. And I'll show you the genuine Nissan one in a second, and you'll see what the problem is. And there's the Nissan one. As you can see, a significant radius on the crown wheel. Luckily, we've got a nice big lathe in the workshop. Thank you, Mr. Harrison, for your help. Big lathe. So we've taken the radius off there, and hopefully now the crown wheel might fit. Not a DIY fit by any stretch.
Going red.
And
going red.
We have a wound.
Going red.
Because that weighs about as much as a Land Rover diff, and it's just nicked him on the locking ring underneath. Happy days. Quite a bit of messing around later. We've actually got it together finally. So we're now doing on the final fittings and see what happens. Right, we've finally got the crown wheel to sit flush, thanks to my nice big lumpy lathe, because that takes a bit of fitting in a lathe. But yeah, absolutely bang on, and it's on there a treat. So we'll carry on now with finding out what the blue check backlash and run out's going to be like. Nearly there. Well, we're pretty much there. We couldn't wait to put the diff all back together before we blue checked it. So we blue checked it, and it's got a pretty good pattern on both sides. It was, what's the backlash? 7th thou?
Yeah.
7th thou backlash run out. And 1/1000th of an inch run out, which, considering we are slightly out possibly on the pinion height by a few thou, it's not a bad diff at all. I think this will be quiet on the road. All we've got to do is now is finish it off and do the second one. But yeah, we're actually quite impressed with these gears, considering how much they are, and considering how we haven't got things like pinion shims, which could really do with to get things slightly more accurate. I think they're bloody good value for money and a good choice of ratios. So Dan Hickling, you might be getting some more business, and so might we if people want them fitted. Bye for now. Finished. Bit of a pig to fit. Would be better if we had pinion shims. Pretty happy with it. Think it'll be quiet. Customers over the moon. Job done. One Y61 locker with a 5.125 crown wheel and pinion.